Do a quick video going over how I built my monk for Nightmare 4. I primarily use him for boost auras and occasionally Serenity auras and anti-air towers. Um, I rely less on anti-air towers now than I used to, but I still use them occasionally. I'll start with the sphere sheet. My first three small spheres are pretty much the same across most of my damage heroes. Uh, Improved defense crit chance, defense power sphere, defense rate sphere. As far as I know, the rate sphere and the crit chance sphere do nothing for boost and Serenity aura, primarily for anti-air, but there's not really anything else that I would put in those slots. I would never use the small range spheres. They're terrible in my opinion. So it's just kind of easy enough to stay with these the entire time. For medium spheres, I use two of the monk defense plus 10% range. These are actually worth it and give you a significant boost in aura and AA range. Finally, for the large sphere, this is for use with boost auras. This makes the boost aura increase blockade health by 25%. I really like this sphere. It helps a ton in Nightmare 4. It's my primary use of boost blockades in Nightmare 4 is to buff my walls, both to decrease damage to walls and increase their health using the sphere. Increasing DPS on traps or flamethrowers or other towers or auras is pretty minimal for most of my builds. It's mostly about helping the walls. I will say that if I have someone else with a monk with me and they're able to build boost, I will switch this out for the empowering calm sphere. This sphere gives any hero within Serenity aura 25% increased damage, so this just helps maximize the amount of damage a group of heroes can do. If you don't have someone else building boost auras for you, I would not ever use this sphere really, but it's an option if you want to really get everything you can out of the hero and you have someone else helping you build. For the Uber, I just use the shielding guard sphere. This is mostly for helping with the AA towers very occasionally. You could buy the lightning strike aura. I haven't experimented much with it yet, so I can't recommend that. I think the elemental chaos is still better for magic damage and physical resist lanes. I'll go to my stats real quick. I've maxed out defense power, defense speed, defense range, and then put 15 points in defense crit damage and defense health. Now there's a number of things you're looking for in gear for a monk. Monk's one of the heroes that actually has a lot of secondary stats that you want to get. We'll start off with the weapon. The unique weapon is Purge Evil, and it has the Purge Evil stat on it that when an enemy dies within the Serenity aura, they explode for a percentage of your defense power as magical damage, and enemies also killed by Purge Evil will explode. So I think max percentage is 400%. I think this isn't very important in Nightmare 4 because 400% of 3,000 to 4,000 damage is only 12 to 16,000 damage done to enemies. While that's a nice number, it's not very significant in the kind of grand scheme of things. But in Nightmare 3, I really liked Purge Evil, and I spent a lot of time trying to farm for defense power Purge Evil. And then for your gear pieces, I've mostly gone defense power and defense crit, or defense power and defense health. On your helmet, you want Radiance. This increases the aura radius by a given percentage, in this case 14%. I would also like to have Superconductor, which I have in this case, and Channel, which I didn't get on this helmet. But Channel and Superconductor are pretty secondary. You really want Radiance. You can also roll Karma Vortex, which I have on my chest piece. You can get these on, I believe, all four of your armor pieces in your relic. It increases the Serenity area, Serenity aura radius, so you can get really big Serenity auras and cover multiple lanes with just one. This is a stat I don't worry too much about, but it's nice to have, and I kind of keep it around. Same with my boots. I have Karma Vortex again. In my gloves, there's a couple things I look out for. Zen Monument, which increases the heal rate of the Serenity aura, and Amped Up, which increases the lightning aura attack rate. I don't really use lightning auras, but I've made sure to keep Amped Up on my gloves in case lightning auras are bugged or I find a build that works particularly well with them. So those are two stats I just kind of keep an eye out for. I would also prefer to have Service Call on these gloves instead of the defense critical chance, but you can't have everything sometimes. And finally, on your medallion, you really want Empower. This increases the boost or defense power boost by a given percentage. I've seen up to 21%, could very well go up to 25 on Legendary, I would think. If it was 21% would be kind of a weird number to stop at, but don't quote me on that, because I don't know that for sure. And also look for Idle Flow, which slows enemies inside of the Serenity aura. So that's kind of a basic idea of what all you're looking for on your monk. To kind of go over the monk's abilities real quick, he's actually pretty useful in a utilitarian way. His first skill, Pole Smash, will shatter enemies and throw them up into the air. So frozen enemies you can instantly kill. You have to be careful with throwing enemies up in the air around a wall, though, as they're likely to sometimes walk over that wall when they all land down. The second ability, I believe Kai Blast, is nice around walls and in lanes to push things away from the wall to help reduce the amount of damage that's coming in, so you can repair it a little bit and make sure the wall doesn't fall, as well as kind of break up clumps of enemies that might get stuck in lane. And the third ability is Healing Wave, or Heroic Wave, and I don't really use this very much. I'm not sure about the percentage increase of hero damage, and I don't think it heals very much. It has kind of a really slow attack or animation versus like in DD1 where it was just an aura that radiated out from yourself. I don't really like it. I've never really built to maximize it either. So maybe it's better if you spent time trying to get things like Power Up, which increases the damage boost for other heroes. But I haven't tested it too much yet. So that's a brief rundown of how I would build a monk for Nightmare 4. If you have any questions or comments, leave them and I'll get back to you.